Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can shop online and get easy delivery or free pickup. Get the same prices, deals, and rewards as in-store. Shop the weekly ad, clip deals, and earn points at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado, proudly calling Colorado home for over 90 years. Dedicated to showing up for the community and putting people first. Credit Union of Colorado. Learn more at cuofco.org.
Everyone loves a good comeback story, and Colorado skier Michaela Schifrin has given us a great one this Olympics. Get this, after 8 years without an Olympic medal, then 4 years since flopping in the last games, as well as just 9 days after costing her combined team a medal, Schifrin raced 2 flawless runs on Wednesday to win the gold in the women's slalom, finishing a whopping 1.5 seconds ahead in the field.
Today, what was beautiful was that I actually felt that it just felt like ski racing. It felt like another day on the mountain. Between the start and the finish, and even the rest of the day, it was like I wasn't looking at the Olympic rings.
It's been 12 years since Schifrin debuted as a teenage Olympic slalom champion, and now she's the most decorated World Cup skier in history. And among only a handful of U.S. Winter Olympians to collect 3 or more gold medals. That is quite the decade. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel.
And I'm Bazi Kanani.
Coming up, from fragile avalanche conditions in Colorado's high country to deadly dust storms on the plains.
I could say that they happen definitely more than we want them to.
We tell you how to stay safe.
Then, one woman has been waiting for years to get her birth certificate from Colorado.
Abigail can't participate in modern life. She legally doesn't exist.
We'll hear how her lawsuit prompted the state to change its rules.
Plus, one of the last professional theater critics in Colorado shares his recommendations for what to go see.
There's an embarrassment of riches this season to talk about.
It's Thursday, February 19th. Here's the news in Colorado today.
The deadly avalanche near Lake Tahoe this week is a reminder of how quickly backcountry recreation can turn dangerous. And right now, conditions in Colorado's high country are getting to that same point.
It's an intense week with rising avalanche danger in most of the state.
Ethan Green is the director of the Colorado Avalanche Information Center. The thin snowpack so far this winter just isn't strong enough to support all the fresh powder falling this week.
And it's really just a house of cards. You've got, weak on the bottom, strong on the top. That's not good for avalanche danger.
Of course, fresh snow after such a dry winter likely has a lot of people eager to get out with their skis and their snowmobiles. But Green warns you need to pick your routes carefully right now.
When the avalanche danger is high, we recommend avoiding avalanche terrain altogether. So those are slopes that are steeper than about 30 degrees. So if you're going into a place that's red, just make sure you're staying on low-angle slopes and out from underneath steep slopes as well, because there is the potential to trigger an avalanche from a lower angle slope right now.
Green expects avalanche risk to peak today, but warns it'll still be plenty dangerous in much of the backcountry through this weekend. This week's storms also brought a very different hazard to southeastern Colorado, dust storms. On Tuesday, blowing dust brought visibility to near zero ahead of a massive crash south of Pueblo. 5 people died when dozens of cars and 6 semi-trucks smashed into each other on I-25. Many others are still hospitalized. Sergeant Ivan Alvarado with the State Patrol says dust storms like this are unusual.
I wouldn't call it common as obviously as snowstorms, as blizzard conditions. I could say that they happen definitely more than we want them to.
If you see heavy blowing dust over the road ahead, Alvarado recommends you stop driving and wait for the air to clear. And if you do get caught in a storm, to take it seriously.
Slow down, because there's going to be a point where there's the possibility that you might not be able to see what's in front of you. So slow down. but do not stop in the middle of the road. Pull over onto the right shoulder. If at all possible, then go further than the shoulder. Go into a grassy shoulder. Go as far away from the roadway as possible.
After a warm, dry February so far, the Front Range could see at least a few days of cold weather, even a few flakes, but, and I hate to say this, the long-range forecast continues to be warmer and drier than average.
When Colorado parents don't get their baby a birth certificate in time, the life consequences can be huge. As they grow up, those people can't get driver's licenses or a bank account or health insurance. They can't even get married or hold down a job, at least not legally. And that's because Colorado rules made it impossible to get a birth certificate if too much time had passed.
We allege that the regulation itself is unconstitutional. Abigail can't participate in modern life. She legally doesn't exist.
That's the attorney for Abigail McKinnon, a 31-year-old who will finally be able to get proof of her birth in Colorado after the State Board of Health voted yesterday to change Colorado's requirements. CPR's Dan Boyce is reporting on this and joins us now. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Bazzi.
Abigail told you that she's been trying for 15 years to prove one simple fact.
I was born in Woodland Park, Colorado.
So what happened? Why didn't her parents get her a birth certificate way back in the 90s when she was born?
Basically, she says it was because her parents were deeply religious and they didn't believe in giving any of their children any government documentation at all.
They believed that a social security number was the mark of the beast. So that's why I was never gotten a social security number.
She and her siblings were homeschooled and they didn't go to doctors or dentists, so they didn't get records there. It wasn't until she was a teenager that she really understood the predicament she was in. She wanted to get a driver's license to be able to drive herself to public high school.
I was denied because I didn't have any proof of identification.
For many of us, a driver's license is one of the milestones of growing up. And Dan, when I read your reporting, one of the things that really struck me is that she never really could become independent or self-sufficient.
Right. Even though she's an adult now and she is a mother herself, she says she's remained dependent on her husband and others really throughout her life because there's just so much she's not legally allowed to do. She can't get a legal job, and so she's been paid under the table. She can't legally get married, even though she has taken her husband's name. When they had her first child a few years ago, she had to deliver that baby at home because she didn't have health insurance. Her first time ever being at a hospital was when she needed to get stitched up following that birth.
It's really scary, and it makes me think how much we take for granted having a legal ID.
Yeah, and one of the things that was especially frustrating for Abigail was this was not a problem for people like her born in other states, including for her younger siblings. They were all in the same situation as her, but they were born in Tennessee, and because of that, they were all eventually able to get their birth certificates, social security numbers. They were able to move on with their lives.
So what was the difference there? Why did it matter so much where you were born?
Because the rules are set at the state level and they can vary a lot. According to Betsy Fisher, she's an attorney I spoke with who specializes in birth certificate laws in the United States.
So there's a huge range, but I do think Colorado has some unusually strict laws for kids who aren't registered in their first few years of life.
As we mentioned, the rules are changing in Colorado. But Dan, what have the requirements been?
So in Colorado, the state health department issues birth certificates, CDPHE, and in situations where the parents did not get that done, register their child's birth in the first year of that child's life, it required very specific evidence. And here's where it could get really hard for people. One of the documents required had to have been created in the first 10 years of that child's life. And there were no exceptions to that. Here's Fisher again.
That is extremely unusual, and it's extremely harsh because if you just don't have that, no one's responsible for generating their own documentation when they're 10 years old.
Abigail didn't even grow up in Colorado. She moved when she was 2 years old, and she has spent years, half of her life, trying to get this state to issue her a birth certificate until she finally ended up filing a lawsuit over it.
And to do that, she found lawyers who specialize in this.
It's something the nonprofit Colorado Legal Services handles, and they do so pretty frequently. They've helped nearly 50 people obtain delayed birth certificates in the past 5 years. But in this case, her lawyer, Casey Sherman, she won something bigger.
We've reached a temporary settlement with CDPHE.
The health department agreed to re-examine its rules. And so yesterday, the health board finally acted and adopted a new rule unanimously. So it dropped that requirement that one of the pieces of evidence had to come from when the applicant was a child. And instead, the new rule is that one document must have been created at least 10 years before the application was submitted.
And the idea there with requiring that older document is trying to prevent fraud. Is that right?
That's exactly right. So the state says, both with the old rules and with these new rules, that what they wanted to do is make sure the bar is high enough so that people can't just try to cheat the system, basically, to try to get some new fake identity saying that they were born in Colorado.
And now that the rule is changing, this means Abigail finally will get her birth certificate?
Yeah, when it goes into effect in 30 days, she should have everything she needs to get that Colorado birth certificate and start being able for the first time to live a normal life like any citizen. But Bozzy, even despite this rule change, Colorado remains one of the states where it is hardest to get a delayed birth certificate. And Abigail's lawyer told me that she has 5 other clients in similar predicaments as Abigail McKinnon, and this rule change, it does not go far enough to help all of them.
CPR's Dan Boyce. Thanks for your reporting, Dan.
You're welcome.
We got some recommendations for all of you theater lovers out there looking for some relief from the drama of national politics.
My whole life, people are like, "What are you?" But I've never been called a prairie dog.
Colorado's got a full slate of theater productions on tap this winter. Some are funny, others are introspective, even romantic. And all of them are an opportunity to break away, at least for a moment, from our own reality.
My favorite stories are the ones that I go into and I don't really know what the story is yet.
John Moore is a theater critic with the Denver Gazette, part of a dying profession in our state, and he told us about a few shows you might want to check out.
There's an embarrassment of riches this season to talk about, but I think it's important to talk about a company called the Catamounts, which is in Boulder.
This is the last weekend you can see the Catamounts perform a piece called Burning Bluebeard by Jay Torrance. It's a story about
the 1903 Chicago Iroquois Theater fire from the perspective of the performers.
That fire killed more than 600 people, but surprisingly, the show isn't a tragedy.
You'll see comedy, you'll see vaudeville, you'll see clowning, but it's truly like a love letter to theater and to the artists who perform.
Burning Bluebeard is being performed at the Dairy Art Center. That's also where you'll find the Boulder Ensemble Theater Company's rendition of Brooklyn Laundry. That's a play about adulthood, love, loss, and yes, laundry. It is from the same playwright who wrote Doubt and Moonstruck, and the current Colorado production runs through March 15th. And a final recommendation from John Moore.
One play I think people have been looking at with great interest for a couple of years now is a new play coming to the Denver Center Theater Company called Cowboys and East Indians.
Cowboys and East Indians follows an Indian immigrant family adjusting to life in Casper, Wyoming.
It's about masculinity, race, identity, and how you form identity when you don't see reflections of your own around you.
It is co-written by local playwright Matthew Spangler and Nina McConaughey.
We don't often see playwrights with Colorado connections picked up by the Denver Center Theater Company, and this is the second straight season now where a Denver or Colorado-based playwright is having a play premiered for the world on the Denver Center stage.
Cowboys and East Indians runs through March 1st at the Denver Center. You can learn more about Colorado theater, the playwrights, the actors, and the art form in CPR's Raise the Curtain series. You can find that in our show notes. Reporting for today's show came from CPR's Alejandro Alonso Galva, Haley May, and Dan Boyce, as well as freelancers John Henderson at the Olympics. Follow Colorado Today in your podcast app. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel.
I'm Bazi Kanani.
This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can shop online and get easy delivery or free pickup. Get the same prices, deals, and rewards as in-store. Shop the weekly ad, clip deals, and earn points at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado, proudly calling Colorado home for over 90 years. Dedicated to showing up for the community and putting people first. Credit Union of Colorado. Learn more at cuofco.org.